Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House, FirstNet, built with AT&T, and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts,
Podfather, Jersey Ed,
and Noontime with Skylar Noon,
as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm Jersey Ed here along with Noontime with Sky, and we're here to talk some recovery today, Sky. Just you and I. We don't have the Podfather with us, but we're going to hold the ship together. How you doing today, Sky?
Pretty good.
Good.
Had my second COVID shot. So if you guys reach out to me, if you have any questions about that, that was different. You know, I did it, and that's where I'm at today.
Wow. So how you feeling all right from it? What's going on?
Yeah, I had it yesterday. It's been about a little over 24 hours. So I feel okay.
Okay, good. And you're obviously on this show.
Yep.
You're ready to go and everything's good. All right. So,
yeah.
But if you do want to ask Skylar how she's doing with her second shot, you can get her at 617-379-1163 or help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. That's how you can get a hold of us for anything besides even just when it's drop a line. It's to Skylar. So Sky, so it's you and I today. Podfather is, I believe, in Hawaii playing golf for the day. And then he's flying back on his private jet. And
it's
a long flight. He'll be joining us next week again. I think he just had some stuff that he had to take care of today. So we all deserve a break once in a while, right?
Yes, definitely. I think that I was just reading in the NA book earlier in the meeting how it says that one of the most important things we need to learn in recovery is learning how to take a break.
Yeah.
Give ourselves a break, take a break.
Yeah.
You know,
what's the thing? It's okay to say no to others, and you can say yes to yourself.
Yes.
And
exactly.
That's very hard to do sometimes, man.
Very
hard to do. So,
yeah.
But yeah, we always say, come on, everybody, just take care of yourself and make sure that you're doing what you have to do for you. Because then we can't show up in the world for other people, right? I mean,
exactly.
It's the way we need to, when we need to, we don't always, especially you and I, the field that we're in, Sky, that the recovery field, we think that we have to help everybody every time, anytime somebody calls. I know I do. I don't want to speak for yourself, but I know I do.
True.
But that's just how we are. That's just who, kind of the people that, that work in this field. That's what we do. So,
yeah,
but
exactly.
sometimes you have to take off. Sometimes you have to say it's, I'm going to take care of myself. So anyways, that's not what the show's about today at all. Zero. But I do want to say, I like your background.
Thank you.
It's very cool. It says Friends in Recovery. And look, if you're watching, look at my head. See it? Look back and forth.
You got the ears popping in and out.
Yeah, I know. So if I just take this off, look, I think I'd be all right. But then I look like a bald, squared head. So, but I do want to talk about what's behind me here. Friends in Recovery Adventures real quick.
Definitely.
You and I started this right from the beginning. We turned this Friends in Recovery communities into a lot of different things, guys. We have meetings 7 days a week. The other thing, and if you tune into the other channel, we'll go into it a little bit more. We started a badge meeting every Tuesday night. You have to be a first responder and you have to qualify as a first responder to come on this meeting. But Thursday nights at 8 p.m. is a badge meeting. And that's really cool. But the Friends in Recovery Adventures, we did a whole bunch of things, right, Scott? You want to kind of go over some of the things that we did?
There's something this weekend, right? Or you coming up?
Oh yeah. We got the kayak canal cleanup.
There's a cleanup. There's camping in May.
Yeah, camping in May, and all that good stuff. Here's the thing: everybody keeps asking me, Sky, how do we get involved? Florida, California, people in Minnesota, because all this stuff is based in New Jersey area for now. Yeah. Massachusetts. Guys, we have a planning meeting every month. It's the first Tuesday of every month. If you go to genesishouse.net and go to communities, that's genesishouse.net, go to communities, click on there, find the online meetings, and it'll tell you when our meetings are. So this Tuesday, when you're hearing this, so this comes out in the morning. So this Tuesday, when you guys you guys come on to the meeting and it'll give you all the times on there. And you've been out of planning meetings. What do you think of them?
It's cool. I mean, everyone just like gets ideas going. They, help and incorporate different things with each other. It's pretty cool. And then everyone gives feedback because everyone's done different things. And
yeah.
We love different experiences.
Yeah. I think we have a beach day coming up in June, right?
Yeah. June or July.
Is that July? We have another little overnight kayaking trip coming up, a camping trip in New Jersey. There's about 25 sober people going. Now, one thing I never did camp. I did camping with my kids sober, but I always drank when I went camping. Always, Sky.
What's crazy is that I had the biggest fear about having a campfire without beer for the longest. And I had to sit with a girl in recovery and we sat with a bottle of soda and we got through it. But we really both had to sit there for the same reason. We always drank at the campfire.
I know.
So that's real
believe
fear.
it. I know. So, but it wasn't the campfire that we were interested in, because you could replace campfire with outside at a car, outside at it was the alcohol or the drugs that was the common denominator there.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to like laying on the fucking ground for 2 days and I got myself caught.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it'll be cool because there's just something about nature that opens people up, I feel like. So I feel like around that campfire, there's going to be like a really good meeting and some talking going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're gonna have 25 people at a meeting, in-person meeting.
And in nature. Like it's just nature.
It's gonna be fire blazing, right? I can't wait.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You're going too, right?
Yeah, that's right up my alley. Like I love the nature and outside stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
You guys, if you want to be involved in that, help at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, throw us an email or go to Genesis House website. That's genesishouse.net. Go to communities and then go to online support. All that information's in there. And you can also drop us an email there or talk to the little bot that pops up on the screen. And that is Stacy that does that. So, so you can get a hold of her. So Sky, anything else about the Facebook stuff or anything along those lines before we get into the meat and potatoes of our show today?
I think that was it.
Okay. Yeah. You sure? You're looking confused. You're like, oh, maybe.
I was thinking about the timer.
Don't worry about the timer. I caught the time before we went on. I know. Yeah, I know. Skylar has a job to keep the timer and she usually does it right. But when she doesn't, I'm like, oh my God, isn't it? Yeah, so that's just technical.
We'll talk forever,
Yeah, we will talk forever. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Sky, we're going to talk about the 4 Ds today. And these are the classic identification signs and symptoms of addiction in an individual. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And all the 4 Ds are denial, dysfunction, dependency, and destruction. So we're going to kind of pick those 4 things apart today. And like we were talking earlier on the pre-show, we can do a show on each one of these. We have 4 shows on each one of these.
Yeah, definitely.
But and you and I see this all the time, especially working in this field, the denial, such dysfunction, the classic dysfunction for me when I hear it, and even family members, when I have a lot of alcoholics and addicts in my family, but the dysfunction when it comes to, okay, let's go to treatment. Well, I got to take care. I need about a month because I got to pay the bills, take care of the cat, do this. I always hear the crazy dysfunctional stories, and that's not even just the dysfunction of the family,
Yeah, that's just the excuses.
Excuses, exactly. So I don't even know if that falls, but that is dysfunction because if we were having a heart attack, we would go immediately to treatment. If we would get ourselves taken care of and all that. So, but it's just crazy. So, so what's your thoughts on this? Have you ever heard of the 4 Ds? And I got this from this really cool book from one of our past guests. Remember KJ Foster?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the book. Well, you probably can't see it. Let's see. I don't know. Whatever. It's background stuff.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. Addiction and Recovery Handbook, it's called. It's by Jack Levine. But KJ Foster's in it. And this is Reverend Jared Pennington. He's the author of this particular article that we're using today to talk about the 4 Ds. So denial is the hallmark of addiction dynamics. I really don't have a problem. I can quit anytime I want. I just had a couple of beers, joints, pills, etc. It's actually not that bad. Everybody's doing it. I remember that one. These are just typical efforts to minimize or normalize and rationalize the addiction. So the denial, I mean, you and I can probably talk about the denial of our beginning of the end, really. So what's your thoughts on denial?
So I went in the NA literature just to look it up. Like I wanted to see what the book said, and just because how to relate to our disease, and it said denial is the part of the disease that makes it difficult, if not impossible, for us to acknowledge reality. And I feel like once we're out of denial, we can't go back there, even if we want to, right? We can't come out, to know something and unknow it again. It's not possible. I wish I could go back in denial on a few things.
I know. Oh yeah. But I got a long list of that shit that I can fucking go back. Like our friend John L says on the meetings, the unsee it juice.
Yeah. But you know what I think about with denial is it makes me think of why we have to do the first step so perfectly. Because if we don't make that admission and be honest about it and fully say it, like that's why that admission has to come from us. We have to mean it. We have to say it. And then it breaks that denial. It shatters that denial, really, because it's admission. Like I am an addict. My name is Skylar, and I am an addict.
Yeah. But and that free, you're perfect. That keeps us out of the denial. That keeps us from falling back into the denial.
Exactly.
My name's Ed. I'm an addict, alcoholic. And yes, you're right. And if we can keep stating that and kind of kind of putting it out there and understanding it, it's definitely a thought. It changes our mind and it changes our whole reference of kind of who we are and what we do, because we can't never forget that where we came from. We can't, we can't close the door in the past. Whatever that saying is, I can't
shut the door on
it. Forget the door on it. Yeah. But because we cannot, we can't forget, of where we came from, because then the denial is slowly creeping in. And I'll have to disagree with you on, we can't unsee the denial, because I've seen a lot of addicts saying, well, I only, I was using heroin and, I'm only drinking now. That's fucking classic denial right there.
Yeah. Or justification, minimization, rationalization.
Justification. Yeah, but
they're all together.
Denial. Yeah. Because at the end here, these are typical efforts to minimize, justify, normalize, and rationalize the addiction.
Yeah. So they're all together.
Can we fall back? Yes, we can. And once we get that, we try to normalize it. Well, drinking, everybody does it, right? It's not a problem. I mean,
legal.
Yeah, it's legal. Everybody does it. Does everybody have 4 DUIs? Does everybody got arrested for, having a pocket full of cocaine when they are all fucked up? Does everybody beats their wives or their husbands? Does everybody fall asleep and piss their pants in their car? Some of the shit I did.
just
pulling some stuff from my memory.
But that's true though, it is.
Yeah. So rationalizing it, but then once we start throwing that into it, say, listen, not everybody gets pulled over by the cops when they're drinking. Not everybody ends up, on a in front of a judge. Not everybody's getting kicked out of the house by their spouses, and
that's unmanageability at its finest.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all step one with the denial.
It is all step one. So,
yeah.
So the hallmark of the addiction. So, you want to go into dysfunction? We can't go into these too fast because we have a whole half-hour show that we have to cover here. So
no, but see, so when I was thinking about denial, I wrote down too: justified actions. We lie to ourselves, right? We're not only lying to everyone else; we're lying to ourselves. It's about lies too. Yeah. And did you get here and be able to tell the truth? I got here and I still lied. I got here and still carried around a bottle of Excedrin in my purse just so there was pills in there. That is class, I wasn't fully ready to admit it that I wanted to be here, Yeah. And it was old habits die hard,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the other thing too. How many times do you ever catch yourself in a little white lie, right? Still now, why the fuck did I say it? My running, okay, I'll run 10 miles, but I'll say, I just ran 12 miles. What the frig? Why don't I just say ran 10 miles? I just, not that I do it all the time, but those behaviors creep back up in and test us. And sometimes we dip our toe in, we're not saying relapsing, but we dip our toe in the water. Then we pull back. We're I think the important part is that we recognize that.
Yes. Awareness.
And we say, okay, so we don't have to correct, unless it's something major, like me running 10 or 12 miles, it doesn't really matter. But if I keep that in my head and not share it with somebody, not share it with my sponsor, not, share it in the rooms or whatever, or just kind of work through it, then, well, you know what? I'll just go out with the friends. Won't tell my wife. All right, I'll just go out to the bar with the friends and won't tell my wife. Okay, well, you know where that goes. So
And I've experienced denial in recovery too. I've just started going to these meetings to help me on a further level because I was in denial that my childhood is still affecting me in present day. Like I didn't want to face that because that was too scary. You know what I mean? So like all the fears of abandonment, different stuff. I wanted to stay like, that's not there. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. When you told me about the meeting earlier today, I was like, I don't even want to go there because now I got to bring all this shit up. I really don't want to work on anything else. I'm perfect the way I am.
Right.
Bullshit. So I know. So then Skylar texts me over. It's a ACOA meeting that we were talking about here. And so Skylar texts me over. I'm like, yeah, I guess I got to go. So.
Well, I heard that the Sober Pod, I heard their podcast, the Tuesday Toolbox. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I've been in denial about this stuff right here.
Yeah.
Because that's dysfunction. Because there's dysfunction right now in my behavior while I'm doing it, because it affects my child, it affects me, my significant other, you know what I mean? So it's dysfunction because I'm not addressing the big issue.
Exactly.
Purple elephant in the room.
Yeah. And if you guys go to Sober Pod, I think it's called Tuesday's Toolbox. Carl interviewed, forgot the woman's name, but look for it in Sober Pod. And we'll have it in the show notes. So
it's perfect.
It's a really good show. So that I like that you kind of segued into dysfunction.
They're together if I think about it.
They are absolutely. Yeah. Cause if we're denying things and kind of, then we're feeding into the dysfunction or creating the dysfunction in our little network or our family or whatever it is, or, friends, whatever. Yeah. So dysfunction is when the addict begins to display determination in their behavior, lying, stealing, spending large sums of money on their habits. Often they will neglect routine hygiene due to being narrowly focused on their habits. Responsibilities, work productivity diminishes, and the relationships they will often neglect and or abuse and exploit others in their life. It's pretty powerful right there. Will abuse is one thing, but exploit others in their life, that's really saying, I could go really, really wrong. You know what I mean? As far as that goes. And that's dysfunction all around though. That's major dysfunction all around. So, some people will put up with dysfunction to a point and say, listen, you cross my boundaries, I'm done. I'm out the door. But if you're going to go into stuff like, kind of manipulating a spouse or a loved one to exploit them, however it is, it gets really bad. But let's go back to lying, stealing, spending large sums of money on their habit. That's dysfunction also.
Yep.
And I can't tell you how many times I said it. I was, I need some money to do this and I'm not doing that. And I remember stealing money from my father. God rest his soul. He always had a lot of cash on him, and I would go in his drawer and steal, hundreds of dollars so we can go drink and get cocaine and get all that stuff. And it doesn't matter. He's, he'll never know because he was drunk himself. So he'd pass out. I'd steal all his fucking money and we go, but still, that's still a dysfunction, me stealing from somebody, me doing something I shouldn't have done to my own family, to my own father, it's pretty sad. So.
And if he was an alcoholic, there's a level of dysfunction that he is sending down to you.
Exactly. So
so we can break the cycle. That's the cool thing about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And my dad knew how much money, and here's the dysfunction on his end, like you said, is he knew how much money he had, but if he was missing a couple $100, why didn't he come to me and say, hey, what happened to my money? Before I passed out on the couch, there was X amount here. Now there's not. And so that's another form of dysfunction. But we know how to manipulate that as addicts and alcoholics.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, true. That's, are we ready to take a break here?
Yeah, we take a break right here.
Let's take a break here and we'll go into dependency, destruction. We'll finish on dysfunction and we'll go a little bit more into it and then we'll go from there. But Friends of Recovery podcast, we'll be right back.
You're first. First to respond. First to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first, that connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Friends in Recovery podcast. I am Jersey Ed here along with Sky. Noontime with Sky. I get a little confused, Sky.
Well, it makes people have to research me and know that my name's Skylar Noon.
That's it. Yes. Noontime with Sky. You just flip it around. There it is. So, but real quick before we get back, Sky, what time is it?
Oh, it's Sober Pod time.
Yes, it is. It's Sober Pod time.
This whole episode is about them.
That's right. Sober Pod. We love you guys. Yes. Carl, Ellen, Steven, Chelsea. I know we talk a lot about them, but they support us. And again, I talk about this every show, but we help each other out. And Carl's a real good friend of mine. I talk back and forth with him. We share ideas. We help each other out. He's just a good guy. Steve, Ellen, everybody else is wonderful too. And Chelsea, they just have a good show. So check it out. Turn your dial to the left. Don't go to the left, but turn your dial to the left. Just kidding. And go find Sober Pod, guys. And go on their Facebook Live and bombard them with Friends in Recovery stuff that Ed and Skylar sent you over from Friends in Recovery. So I think, what do they do it like East Coast time?
I feel like it's Friday night when it usually happens.
Friday night at 8:30. Right? Yeah.
And it's a live one. I love it because we all sit there and talk with each other.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea will write in there. Yeah. We all write together. It's funny.
It's cool.
Like
yeah.
Live interaction.
Exactly. So, all right. So, Sky, we were just talking about the 4Ds it's the 4Ds that the signs of and symptoms, of addiction. So we covered denial. We were on dysfunction. I know you want to talk a little bit about dysfunction until we moved into dependency. So what's
you were mentioning dysfunction? You said boundaries. You said that ugly word that we all hate because it's so uncomfortable to set. It's so uncomfortable. Other people set them with us, but they're so necessary for life. They really are. But you said that word, and that's where we can have dysfunction. The family members can have dysfunction because we don't set the boundaries. Like you said, your dad knew you stole the money and still didn't say anything. Yeah, he didn't set a boundary. So like that's the dysfunction that it's like it continues. Yeah.
And if there's no, especially for the addict, if there's the dysfunctional addict. If there's no boundary set, they're going to shit all over. And they don't, and I don't mean, exactly. And I don't mean that in a bad way. We don't shit on people, but we just take advantage of whatever situation we can for our disease. If it's the classic is, well, let's just go put them in a hotel room and let them stay there. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I wish my family put me in a hotel room, I don't wish, but what I'm saying is, there's a whole, that's such dysfunction. And, education, everything we're talking about here is education. That cures this whole thing. It may not help the addict, but for the family and the dysfunction of the family, all this is just education. We get education, like going to ACOA meetings, come into the loved one support meetings that Stacy runs on Monday nights at 8. Talking to another person with a loved one in recovery or not in recovery really helps us kind of set boundaries and kind of what we do when we cross them. Because here's the other thing, you could set a boundary, but if somebody crosses it, what do? How dysfunctional are you if you're not helping that addict or holding those lines when there's when you cross a boundary, what the consequence is going to be. So, and
Well,
again,
and God forbid they die or something happens where, you're enabling, the situation,
exactly.
And that's the scary part about family dysfunction is we have so many feelings involved. So we have to, be cautious.
Yeah. Feelings, the F word, Jesus God. Anyways,
right.
I know. So dependency is our third 4 Ds. Dependency, the person's belief that they cannot be happy or even live without the addiction, leading to developing a psychological resilience on the addiction. So that's dependency. That's what it says in the Addiction and Recovery Handbook. I'm not saying these are right descriptions, or they are on track with everything, but this is what we're just using, the Addiction and Recovery Handbook today. So that's dependency. What's your thoughts on dependency as far as that goes, Sky? As far as
I think about the dependency building tolerance. Like you said, we keep depending on something. We have this belief that we need it. And then we actually turn out to need it because we build a tolerance. I mean, for me, it was because I did opiates.
Yeah.
Alcohol too, because you could have the shakes, different stuff. Yeah. But we build this dependence and then it turns into a tolerance and then it becomes an addiction. We can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to read this morning. I read from this book called Living the Gita. And it's more of like a Buddhist type thing. And I'm just trying to find it here. Just bear with me. So I asked I was reading about a thing called a Shempa. Shempa is a basically mindset that you're addicted to. It's being addicted to a certain mindset. And if you think about it, addiction, everything is kind of a mindset, but it's just how do we kind of break free of that mindset when we are programmed after all these years of trying to become in that dependency of alcohol, drugs, another family member, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever it is, we become programmed to that, and one way or another it makes us feel better, that dependency. So I believe it's called the Shempa. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if anybody knows anything about it. I'm just kind of new to it, but the opposite of that is cultivating positive thoughts in a negative solution. So I know it gets a little bit deeper than just recovery, and I know this is going a little bit further out there, but you just have to get positive thoughts. So the dependency, I don't need the alcohol, but how do I get off the alcohol or the drugs? How do I stop? But that's thinking differently. How? I'm asking how, not I need another drink or I need to knock the old lady over the head so I can go buy more heroin or more dope. That, you just have to shift your thinking a little bit. How do I get help? I'm not saying you're gonna get cured by thinking positive. It's not gonna happen, but you're gonna hopefully find a new way of thinking to go get help.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I hear positivity, that's definitely gonna motivate me 10 million times faster than getting negativity.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's true, because I mean, even if we're still using going to meetings, that's still trying to hear the message. You're still trying to get in there. Like I have some people that call me and they're still drinking, but I can hear it. I know they want it. They're just struggling. They're in that dependence phase, that mindset, like you said.
Yeah. 3 feet from the gold, I call that. I don't know if you ever heard that expression. There was a miner that mined for years and years and years and didn't get anything out of it. And sometimes you have to dig deep and really hard and stay strong with whatever is recover, whatever. So there was a miner out west and years ago. He dug and dug, sold his mine for pennies on the dollar. The guy who bought it dug 3 more feet and he hit a gold mine and he was the richest man out there. So I always say 3 feet from the gold. Never quit, man. Never quit. I don't care if you're going to meetings high or drunk.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't recommend it, but it happens. It happens. You're showing up. You're in the right place. And like you said, Scott, you're changing your mindset.
Yep. Even if it's only for that hour, you know what I mean? You're still planting a seed and germinating it and letting it grow.
Exactly. So that dependency isn't there. So now you're depending on something different. And dependency isn't 100% bad, because I depend on my sponsor. I depend on my network. I depend on, other people to help me what I don't know, but that mindset, it's a much better situation.
It's almost like faith. It's like a dependence, but faith, like we know they'll be there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, and then destruction. We can spend the rest of the show on destruction, I guess. Destruction. The brain becomes habitually, God, to I knew I was gonna mess up on this word, but you become a slave to a chemical or behavior, and you're craving more and more of the same stimulus to get the same result. So basically, what happens is you have to put more and more drugs in your body to get the result that you're looking for. And then that in long term becomes it devastates your body, your brain, your relationship, your lives. So it really destroys, the drug really destroys everything you're doing, from your usage, from, okay, well, it would take me 2 beers to get drunk and high, and now it takes me 10 beers and a pound of cocaine and whatever. And now the cocaine is really making me skittish and making me kind of psychologically crazy, and alcohol is really taking a toll on my liver, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what the destruction is. And then the families and people's lives and relationships. I had, stop me anytime you want, Sky, because I'll fucking talk all day. Right. So when in my addiction, I ended up destroying 4 little children's lives. I shouldn't say destroying, but at the time I did. They're great children now. And a wife that I had in when I was drinking. There was only so much she could put up with. She was very dysfunctional along with me. She let me do whatever I wanted to do. I beat her down mentally, not physically, but mentally and spiritually. I beat her down, no doubt about it. And the kids too, you're the wife, you take care of the kids. I'm going to be in the garage. I'm drinking and hanging out with my friends. Well, that didn't go over too well after about 5 years.
Yeah. Right.
She finally got sick of it after 5 years, but but that, it just destroys families, not saying what it does to your bodies and stuff. So
how long do you think it took for you to repair some of the destruction with your family?
That's a good question.
Especially the kids, because there's a lot of parents out there that going through the same thing.
Yeah. So that's a good question, Sky. It depends on which part of the family. It depends on who. It's not like we get into recovery and everything is a magic wand and everything's fixed. My ex-wife of over 25 years now, we're friends now. But the first 20 or maybe 18 years, we didn't talk to each other. My kids were definitely, my son was only 5 years old. So they didn't really know too much, but they knew, what was going on, dysfunction in my life, because they understood when I got clean. And so the kids, I didn't have to repair. My actions repaired.
Your energy and your actions.
Exactly. My actions repaired.
That's how they knew the energy in the room when you were dysfunctional.
Exactly.
They could feel that. Kids ain't dumb.
Yeah. So, I used to scratch my head saying, well, why doesn't the ex-wife see this? Because for the first year, I wanted the ex-wife back. Can't she see that I'm better? Can't she see that I'm doing this? Can't she see that? And you know what? It's not up to me. It's up to, my higher power to do that. And I always had, people always said, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And if I ever got her back, I don't think I'd be sober. I'll be honest with you, because I knew how to kind of manipulate her. I knew how to work her. I knew how to, I didn't want her back. I wanted my quote unquote normal life back,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's what I wanted. Yeah. Whatever dysfunction that life was.
Yeah.
But with the kids and my family, my grandmother didn't trust me because I went to live with her right away. So I kind of, she bought into it after a while and understood what I was going to do, but I was there day after day after day. And again, actions.
Showing her.
Yeah. Actions. And that's it. And you know what? It took me and my ex-wife 20 some years, but again, actions. If you stay sober, you do what you have to do. And I'm not even worried about those relationships. I'm worried about what's going on in my immediate life with my kids, my grandkids, all that. So I take care of that. And then those things will fall in place. And if they don't, it's not my business. It just, I can try to make amends. I can try to do what I have to do there, but I can't force it, as far as the destruction went. I can't force it.
I'm huge on living amends, because it's a way we can work on amends without being at step 9. Like we can be 30 days clean and do a living immense, doing the next right thing for the next right reasons. And our families see that. Then when we get to step 9, they actually believe us that we're sorry because they see our actions, our feet matching our mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's it. You're right. Your feet matching our mouth, man. What actions are you doing? It's the show, like what's Missouri, the show me state, show me, but that's the hardest thing in early recovery is to get time. Time takes time, guys. And that cures all, believe it or not. If you're doing the right thing, time takes time and it will cure things. It'll help things kind of, go smoothly. And also what it'll do too is if those relationships aren't healing that we destroyed, or those lives or whatever that is that we're trying to heal, we heal from it also. We heal from it and say, okay, you know what? I wasn't the greatest guy or the greatest gal to that guy or gal, but you know what? I'm doing everything I can. I'm keeping my side of the street clean. Exactly. I really can't worry about if they're going to accept me or not, because that's a whole nother show. Seriously, that's a whole nother fucking show. So
it's so true.
Yeah. So we can't really get into that, that piece of somebody else's life,
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, this is great though, because I think that it can apply to early recovery, middle recovery, long-term recovery, like all these. I mean, there's sometimes I think, did I do more destruction in recovery or out? Only because mentally I was sick. I was spiritually bankrupt. I kept withdrawing from my bank and not putting anything in and taking care of me.
Amen, sister. Yeah.
So, but then I think about destruction, like being suicidal before I came in here. So this applies to so many levels of recovery.
It does.
That's why this handbook's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. And you're right. The denial, dysfunction, because there are different stages in our lives. I mean, we may not be in denial of our drinking and drug use, but we can be in denial of a relationship, of a job, of a whatever it is, a car, whatever, I don't know.
Life shows up.
Yeah, it does. It does. And we always have to keep these 4 Ds in order and just keep them kind of, on the forefront of our mind. So that's denial, dysfunction, dependency, and destruction. And they all lead down to that path of destruction, and it gets crazy. So Sky, I think that's about it. I mean, I can go on another 3 hours if you want. I know,
right? Because these are great. And it's so, like I said, it's so applicable to so many parts of recovery, but
it is absolutely. Anything in closing before we go out?
Just send us your clean dates. We'd love to give you shout outs.
Yep, absolutely. Get those out to help at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, and we'll get you some shout outs. I have to check the email. I know there's some in there, so we'll do some shout outs next week. And another great show. And Podfather, we miss you. We'll see you next week. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for having us. Stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House, FirstNet, built with AT&T, for supporting those on the path to recovery and keeping this valuable resource free for all our friends in recovery. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery. If you can't get enough of Mike, the Podfather, Jersey Ed, and Skylar, you can catch them on Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast, available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and GenesisHouse.net.